welcome again, everybody. I am super happy to introduce to you somebody special because she has studied actually in the same institute as I did. So we are really thinking very much alike. Let me introduce you to Kelly Page. Kelly will talk about using meditation to improve your health. And of course, we will talk a lot about nutrition. And I know she will share a really nice gift for you guys. Now, Kelly helps women over 40. I'm so sorry. So, Kelly helps women over 40 drop weight, reduce stress, and stop spinning so they can have more energy, be healthier, and live with confidence. Don't we all need that? She is a certified transformational health and nutrition coach, and she's also the founder of Tasting Page, an amazing collection of recipes and more. I discovered your website, Kelly, and I love it. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So I just want to say immediately, because I spoke about your website and I was so curious, there are so many nice recipes there. And I'm amazed you're just sharing them for everybody to access them. Do you want just to share immediately that website? Because I know people are curious what it is.
Absolutely. Thanks. It's tastingpage.com because it is a healthy taste of food and wellness. And I love sharing healthy recipes because I feel like there's so much that goes into nourishing your body, and putting the right fuel source in is a big help. And I also want to talk about the thoughts you're putting in your head too, because that is a great fuel source as well. But feel free to grab hundreds of free recipes there, and they're good for a lot of different diets too, whether you're gluten-free or dairy-free or just want something really easy and tasty for dinner.
Great. Now, you spoke about recipes and the love for food. Now, I know that you have been in one of my favorite cities, Paris, right? And that is definitely something that influenced your cuisine and your way of thinking of food. And me being European, right? And I actually speak perfectly French, and I have a very, very, very near connection to France. My children are half French, and I've been many, many times of Paris. Tell me a little bit, how you discovered your love to food, or how has also maybe a different kind of relationship with food that you can find in other places like Paris, like France or so. How has that influenced your way of seeing things?
Yeah, I always loved food. And at a young age, my mom, I have two brothers, and she started something when we were kids where we would pick a recipe. We would find the recipe, we'd go with her to do grocery shopping, and we would actually cook the meal as young children. So to this day, me and both of my brothers, we love to cook because we learned and we were curious. And then I got curious about how it made me feel, and if I felt good after eating something or not good or feel depleted. And then you go to a place like Paris, and it's just part of the culture, and the way they eat is an event unto itself. I know I'm in the States, I'm in Los Angeles, and people get a little hurried, and it's just kind of boom, boom, boom. And in Paris, it's just an hours and hours event. I mean, that is the event. It's not something to do on the way somewhere else. It's just a way to connect with people and also to learn more about the country. And I loved going out to the countryside and meeting the people who were making the food and serving the wine with it. I just really enjoyed every piece of it.
So let's just stay with that. Paris. Paris is known for the beautiful women, of course, the handsome men as well. But I know, of course, from my own travels in Paris, many people have really, they look amazing. Obesity is increasing, but is nowhere near what it is in America, right? In the whole of France, not just in Paris, by the way. And of course, they're the exceptions. And yet people love eating, right? They're usually in France, when you have a meal, you talk about the next meal, right? You talk about food, and you have a good relationship with food and the act of eating, right? The enjoyment. So why do you think is it that in some other countries, let's just say with France, people usually are not as obese as maybe in America and have a better relationship with food?
Yeah, that's a great point because I did experience that as well. And I think there's several things at play. One is they eat so much fresh food in France. The marchés, which we call farmers markets here in the United States, that's kind of how you eat. You see people going down the street wheeling their carts of fresh food that they got from the markets. And so it's all fresh. When I lived there, I had a tiny refrigerator. It was not a full size refrigerator. And I remember talking to the woman saying, "What am I supposed to do with this little tiny refrigerator?" And she said, "Well, you just buy fresh food all the time. Like, there's nothing that's going in there to stay in there for weeks and months, and you don't need a huge freezer full." People would shop daily there. So it was a huge emphasis on fresh food.
Mm.
Like the pantry stuff, not as much, but you just go to the farmer's market, you get what's in season. So you're eating seasonally as well, is another big bonus. And you're walking everywhere. You're so active. I didn't have a car while I lived there, and I didn't need a car. And you're wheeling your groceries and you're bringing things upstairs. So there's also just a lot of activity. So you're constantly moving. You're not necessarily, doing aerobics or cycling, 24/7, but you're just active. You're moving a lot versus, I know for me, I get in the habit sitting on my behind for 8 hours a day. I'll do my yoga in the morning, but then 8 hours of sitting, go to the cabinet, get the food. So it's a different lifestyle. It really is. It's a real big focus on the fresh food. Even in the grocery stores are smaller, period, than the United States. There's not as much snacky food. I mean, in the United States, we have aisles and aisles of snack food, of processed food. There's just not that much of a focus on it there. And you see how lit up people are and how much energy they have. And I just think it's having the activity, the connection with other people, the fresh food, all of that goes into play.
Yeah, like we all know, it's a holistic approach. And I full agree on, just having the fresh food, the whole food, And when you go to these markets, just seeing all these colors and hearing the chit chat and people smelling things and tasting and whatever, it's amazing. I know those. I'm in Italy currently, and it's a very similar way of approach to food, right? We can probably discuss long time what's better, the food in Italy or in France. I have a love for both, I must say,
Me
but the
too.
approach is very, very similar in terms of really enjoyment of food. And also, like you say, walking. I hear it often from people who are in both continents, right? When they go back to America, they usually go back sitting in their car. Here, everybody walks, right? We
Yeah.
go outside, we walk almost every day.
Mhm.
So that is the reason, why I invited you here, is also to bring your perspective in, seeing how people struggle to try losing weight or overcome their cravings or their health issues also. I really believe, there are better ways, and I know you too. So thank you for sharing that. Now, the show is called What Are You Really Craving? What do you think, Kelly, people are craving at the moment? What do you think they need to overcome at the moment?
Yeah, I think it can range from people to people, but I think there's so much angst right now and stress and anxiety that you just want something to make you feel good. And often it's low-hanging fruit. I mean, food is so easy to make you feel better, especially the sugary, carby stuff, because that is a quick hit of sugar and it boosts you up, but then you go crashing down, and there is often guilt and shame around that, like, oh, why did I do that? I didn't want to do that. That didn't make me feel better. It actually made me feel worse. So I think people are just looking for something to make them feel better, and food has such links to sometimes family and what your grandmother gave you, and you got a treat when you were good. And So there's so much tied up in food, but I think as we become more and more aware of it, we realize it's not making me feel better. It's actually doing the opposite. So what else can I do to make me feel better outside of food?
Absolutely. So, what is it, or what would you say somebody who has these issues that don't know what they're looking for and they're struggling with food, emotional eating, cravings, or so? What would be the first step for them, or one step maybe they could do to overcome and get a new approach to things they've tried over and over, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I am a huge proponent of meditation. And I just think it's a great way to bring a breath into your life, get into your body, drop down from your head, because the head is where all the little nervous chatter and should I, shouldn't I, and I want it, and oh, it's going to taste so good. And when we can get out of our head and into our body and just take some deep breaths, it's like, oh, I don't want that food. It's not going to make me feel better. Just going to connect to myself. And how I can connect to myself is just taking some deep breaths that gets you back into here. So I'm a huge fan of meditation and just dropping in. And then that allows you just to hear yourself a little bit more and like, oh, I don't want that. I'm going to take a walk, or I'm going to call a friend, or any of that. So for me, it starts with a long, slow, deep breath.
Let's take this breath, right?
Yes.
Interestingly, I just did a video, a Facebook Live 15 minutes ago or half an hour ago, and I was actually presenting the summit here and I was speaking about how to reconnect with yourself and overcome cravings, breathing, right? And I also demonstrated 3 deep breaths, and probably it did much better to me than anybody else there,
Right.
because I had quite a day, right? And it's, in our busyness, going quickly and having everything there and not taking any time to eat, to stop, to be present, be mindful, right? To reflect a little bit on what's going on. Actually, breathing is one of these quick fixes, right? What is your favorite breath work or type of breath? I wonder.
Oh, that's a good question. I love box breathing, which is the 4, 4, 4, 4. So you're inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding out for 4.
Love
That's
that.
just a quickie in. But what I usually do is just put my hands either on my stomach or my chest and breathe into it, because that also allows me to feel the breath. And oftentimes, I hate to say people do breathing wrong, but they do it where it's not going to help them relax. When they breathe just into their chest, that's a shallow breath, because that's what we do when we're panting and nervous and bears chasing us. Like you're trying to quickly get oxygen in, but when you take the long, slow, deep breath into your belly, that's a totally different breath. So you start in your belly and then move up to your chest versus just the chest breathing. That alone, game changer. When I learned that, I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was possible to breathe wrong or not to breathe as relaxing. If you're trying to drop in, fill your belly first and then up to your chest, and that will make a huge difference. So that's a big one for me. Just hands on my body, usually one on my belly, one on my chest. Breathe into the belly first, up to the chest, and that just gets me right out of my monkey mind, who's going a million miles a minute saying, do this, do that, don't do that, why'd you do that, to just getting into here.
And that's a great technique also when you're craving, right? Because often, we are there and we think only about the food. And of course, we know it's not necessarily the food we are craving, but just by taking 3 deep breaths in. I mean, normally cravings disappear after 90 seconds, right? So taking a couple of seconds just to practice this deep breathing, what you mentioned, And then reevaluate the situation. And you can think then, are you really hungry? Is it something maybe else that you need right now? Are you maybe thirsty and need a glass of water? Or, you need maybe a meditation. So tell me a little bit more about meditation, because I am really loving meditation. I meditate every morning and have been doing so, I don't know, for 5 years probably, or something like that, maybe more, I don't remember. And I tried all kind of meditations, and I do change from time to time. So how do you get started with meditation? A lot of people struggling to get started.
Absolutely. Yeah. Meditation, I know it can seem daunting at first because you think, oh, there's no way I can quiet all these thoughts in my head. You don't know what's going on inside there. Because I used to say the exact same thing. Too much going on, not possible. I would do it at the end of yoga class and it would feel really relaxing. And I thought, oh, that's nice. And I'd always feel so nice, but I wouldn't continue it. So eventually I learned the purpose of meditation is not to get rid of your thoughts. It's not possible. So what you really are doing is you're focusing on a single point of attention. You're resting your attention somewhere. The breath is an easy one. It can be a mantra. You can look at a flame. There's other things to do, but the breath is easy. It's always with you. Take it anywhere. It's free. So how you start is by simply following your breath in and out of your nose. That's all you do, is you follow it in and out. Closing your eyes can be helpful if you're comfortable with that, just so you reduce some of the stimuli around you. And you're just witnessing your breath coming in and out of your nose, in and out of your nose. And then you're going to have a thought. And then you're going to realize oh, I just had a thought. Okay. Oh, I'm breathing. I'm going to go back to the breath. Then you're in and out of your nose, in and out. You're going to have another thought. And you're not going to say, I'm horrible at this. I can't do it. I knew I couldn't do it. You're not going to have a conversation with the thought. You're just going to say, oh yeah, I'm meditating, coming back. I'm going to bring it back to the breath. And then you're just witnessing the breath. And then there may be a moment where you just kind of float, where there's nothingness. And you may not, but there may be. And then that moment may increase over time, and it may not. But what you're really doing is you're building the comeback muscle. You're building the muscle of, oh, I'm having a thought, but I'm actually breathing. What you're doing is you're building this muscle, the recognizing the thought, not engaging with the thought, and coming back to the breath. Because that is magic. Building that muscle. I'm not telling you to get rid of your thought. I'm just saying, oh, having the thought, but I'm going to come back to my breath because I'm breathing right now. And soon that's going to get faster. And then you can apply that to everything in your life. I mean, there's nothing magical happening when you're sitting on your meditation cushion. You're breathing. You might get a little more relaxed. But the magic actually happens off the mat, off your cushion, off the breathing. Because you're going to start to have that slowdown between thought and reaction. And that can apply to, oh, I really want the cookie. Do I really want the cookie? You're going to build that comeback muscle. And it's just a matter of not making this thought mean all these things and going down the rabbit hole. And I always do this. And why is it? And beating yourself up, just breathing. Yeah. So meditation, when you learn this, it's just, I'm just building a comeback muscle. I'm just building a way not to get engaged and make stories about things that happen. You can apply this to conversations with people. Somebody's going to say something. You're like, oh, no, I can't. And it just, for me, the more I've meditated, it's almost like things slow down a little bit. Your reaction time is a little slower because you've built this little buffer in of just, oh, huh. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that, but okay, but I don't need to chase it and run. So meditation can have so many profound effects. In fact, they did this fabulous study where they took non-meditators, people who had never meditated before. And for 8 weeks, they asked them to meditate daily. And they did an MRI of their brain before the 8 weeks and after the 8 weeks. And the physical structure of the brain and its wiring changed in 8 weeks. And what that means is the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which does learning and spatial awareness, that all emotional regulation, that all expanded over 8 weeks. And the amygdala, the fear, the anxiety center, the impulsivity center, that shrunk just by sitting and breathing. The physical structure of the brain changed. That's how magical sitting and breathing is.
Absolutely. And I love that study. I know it actually, where you see it, right? You literally see the brain is, I think initially it's like orangish, reddish, and then it becomes bluish or so. And so you see the changes. And as you know, me meditating, and I know it from many people, it just changes the way how you feel. And I see that all the time, that people initially struggle, like, the question, I see that with my clients who also I teach meditation part, of many, many other things I do with them, is they're always worried, like you said earlier, I cannot keep my monkey brain quiet, and that's why I can never meditate. Basically, that's the conception. I suck at meditation, so let me not do it, right? And people don't realize that's not about meditation. I use very similar, build the muscle, right? And you're actually looking for realizing that your mind is elsewhere, because the more you realize, the more you're actually present. And that's really, really helpful in eventually changing, right? And like you said, I love that, adapt it eventually, or use it then also in life moments, like when you have cravings, the real cravings, right? So you practice basically through meditation practices, you practice for lifetime stress triggers, whatever it is, right? And then you can or your brain automatically goes back onto that one. Now, a lot of people struggle, as we said, with getting their mind quiet, and we know now that's actually not needed. The other thing that people struggle with to get started with meditating regularly or doing it is they say they don't have time, or they forget about it, or whatever it is, they're too busy to meditate, right? And we always say, if you're too busy, meditate 5 minutes. You should actually meditate 60 minutes, right? But besides that, what are some tips you can share, Kelly, for people to get started in the beginning, that they make sure they meditate every day at whatever time it is?
Yeah, I like to attach it to something that you already do. My meditation teacher used to call it RPM, Rise, P, Meditate, where you just make this conscious decision that you get up, you go to the bathroom, and you meditate. And the first thing in the morning can be so wonderful because your brain is still coming out of the sleep state. So it's really influential and it's still calm. And it's also just a great way to start your day. So it makes you less reactive right out of the gate versus reaching for your phone and starting to respond to everything. But the best time of the day is the time that you're going to do it. So if first thing in the morning is chaos at your house, if you have kids and you're running around, if it's too much, that's fine. But schedule it. I'm a big fan of schedule it and it happens. You schedule your dentist appointment and you go to that. So find a time. I'm a twice a day meditator now, and that might sound totally overwhelming to people, but I love to start first thing in the morning just to get in the right frame of mind. And then I do end of day, but I do it after end of my work day. So my meditation teacher used to say, it's like setting the table in the morning and then clearing the dishes at the end of the day. It kind of releases everything from my work day and allows me to show up in the evening in my free time for family, for friends, for social activities. And I feel like I've released some things. But again, the best time of the day is the time you're going to do it. And I do like attaching it to something so you remember, whether it's brushing your teeth or just logging out of your computer for the day. Do it where you're going to remember, like, oh, that's my trigger to go. Even if it's 5 minutes, it will make such a difference.
Yeah, and even starting, if you have never meditated for 1 minute, is already better than nothing, right? And start meditating 1 minute, do it every day, set your alarm on your smartphone or wherever it is. Like you say, attach
Mm.
it. That's a really good way. I do it every morning. I started initially, I think, with 5 minutes. I have times I do 10, then I have times I do 20. I'm doing a little bit with the evening. I struggle a little bit, but that's one of my goals, is getting a better routine to end my work day, actually. So I will definitely use these strategies as well. Now, I know that you have an exciting gift that you are gonna offer here, the Meditation 101 Overview Guide. Tell us a little bit more about.
Yeah, it's a lot of what I talked about, and just kind of step by step how to start a meditation practice, how to what to think if you think you're doing it wrong. I have all of the questions, frequently asked questions and answers, and it's just a guide to get you going and to get you started out the door, and hopefully get you more relaxed and feeling better in your mind and your body.
I'm going to take that one too. Now, for the attendees, I just want to invite you to share in the comments and also in your little workbook what you're going to implement here. Kelly shared with us so many tips on starting meditation or starting a breathing practice or so. So, what is it you can actually implement here right now, from tomorrow or from today? So, write it down, put it in the comments so we can hold you accountable, and also add it to your workbook. Now, Kelly, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, I'm at tastingpage.com, TASTINGPAGE, tastingpage.com, on Facebook, Instagram, and my website.
All the links are going to be provided. I have a personal question, which I ask every speaker, and I wonder what your answer is going to be. What are you really craving right now?
I am craving just more connection with people after the year we've had. I just, that's what fills me up. And I find when I don't see enough people, I am in the front of the refrigerator more. So I do know that people fill me up more than food does. So I love my connections, and I'm looking forward to fostering more of them soon.
Yeah, I can tell you, same here. I'm lucky with the fridge; it stays there, but I definitely am also craving more connection and fun. Any last minute words you have to share? Hmm.
That's it. I think if you're ever just feeling stressed, take that deep belly breath, and that just will make you feel better and just get you back in your body and into the present moment, because there are some good moments out there and don't miss them.
Famous last words. Kelly, thank you so much. I'm losing my voice. I think we have to stop this talk. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciated what you shared with us here about meditation and getting just a little bit more settled in yourself, right? Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.